What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sports Talk with Will. So tonight I'm gonna get through all the Jets practices that I've missed, and I've missed a ton. So let's get into it. So starting off with July 31st. Yep, day 7. Where is it? There it is. Okay, day 7. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets offense, they had their best practice since putting the pads on. Rodgers threw 6 touchdown passes, 3 of them to Garrett Wilson. So offense really showed out. Rodgers said, I thought 5, had a real good day. Had a couple of routes that kind of were wow plays, and everyone got everybody going offensively. So the connection between Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson is really showing in these practices. So it's good to see that this is continuing to go, that this is continuing to be shown in every single practice. Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson having that continued connection, and that's good. And also in that practice, Rodgers got 2 scores, with Rodgers and Breece Hall combined for 2 scores. Hall was wide open in the middle of the end zone on one of them. Rodgers said what he's shown talent-wise out of the backfield is pretty impressive. If you look at some of the plays he ran today, it says a lot when your bell cow running back is number 1 in the progression on red zone routes. A lot of credit goes to him. Also, Tyrod Taylor, Andrew Peasley, and Adrian Martinez had scoring drives in practice as well. So it looks like, the offense was really clicking on Wednesday, the 31st of July. Rodgers even threw touchdown passes to Malachi Corley, who was getting some reps in place of Allen Lazard. So good for Corley that he's able to get some reps in and really show what he's got to the coaches and work his way up the depth chart. I like what I'm seeing. I like what I'm hearing about him. So good for him. Michael Carter II was dealing with an ankle injury that day. Robert Saleh not concerned about it long term. Lazard didn't practice that day because of training camp soreness. So yeah, that's about it. So then they got off on the 1st. So on August 2nd, that being day 8, practiced on Friday, and it was very, very hot. It was very, very hot, but the offense, they basically was the same as the temperature. They had a red-hot performance. They could not be stopped. And, finding the end zone multiple times. Tyler Conklin, the tight end, had 2 touchdowns. Let's see, what else happened? The exclamation point was put on by none other than Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson. So that's a big part. That's big for them. Morgan Moses took team reps at right tackle. First time in camp that he's practiced with the team. He was recovering from a torn pectoral muscle that he suffered last season when he was on the Ravens. So it's good to see him back and going. Robert Saleh's encouraged by the potential of the line that has now had all its starters take team reps together with Moses' return. Saleh says, quote, "It has a chance to be a really good group. Even the second half of last season, that group, the amount of reps and playing time they all got, how much better they got over the course of the year." So, Robert Saleh is very optimistic about where the offensive line can be. Let's see here. Okay, so the defense had some good stops there. Quincy Williams had a good stop on Breece Hall when he went on the sideline. And apparently the rookie running back that the Jets drafted out of Wisconsin, Braylon Allen, he's really showing out. I can really see him being he can really be a good backup running back to Brees Hall. So I'm excited to see what he's got. But again, don't get your hopes up. It's training camp. This isn't the regular season, so just know that. And let's see, where's the next practice? Green and white scrimmage. So that would have been the next day. That would have been on the 3rd, Saturday the 3rd. Green and white scrimmage. More than 2,000 fans at another hot day in Florham Park, New Jersey. Defense had a good start. Offense came back at halftime. They won the game on a field goal from Austin Seibert in the 2-minute period. And Lazard set up that field goal with a catch near the goal line. Brandon Eccles covering him. So Lazard coming through with a nice catch. They started the game. The game started with Aaron Rodgers in the offense. It was all the starters. 11-play drive resulted in a 37-yard field goal for Greg Zuerlein. And first and goal. They had first and goal at the 8-yard line, but a bad snap by Joe Tippmann that went over Rodgers' head resulted in a 22-yard loss. So that's I've seen Rodgers pretty frustrated about the snaps, but now what I've seen videos of him and Joe Tippmann, our center. They're hugging each other before practice. It's like Rodgers is showing his support for his teammate. You know, he's gonna push them so they can be the best they can be, and that's good. We need a quarterback to hold the players on offense accountable, because there's not a quarterback on the Jets. There's not been a quarterback that I've ever seen on the Jets that's held our players accountable. Okay, maybe Brett Favre back in like 2008, but other than that, it's like Sanchez. He didn't hold him. I don't think I saw him holding them really accountable. Geno Smith. I don't think so. Fitzpatrick maybe, but other than that, I'd really say that the quarterback Aaron Rodgers is really. Out of all Jets quarterbacks, he's probably the best for holding the players accountable. So this is good, but he's also showing his support for his teammate, which is good to see as well. Rodgers' next possession, it was looking good, but unfortunately, rookie running back Isaiah Davis fumbled, and it was recovered by the defense. Let's see here. Unfortunately, Rodgers' group did not find the end zone in the green and white scrimmage. The only touchdown was from second-year wide receiver Jason Brownlee, deep pass down the left sideline from Tyrod Taylor. So it's good to see him. Good to see him making some plays. I like what I'm seeing from Brownlee. Defense. The first team defense struggled. I mean, they held the first team offense to a field goal, but it's like after that, the other three units did very well. They prevented the offense from scoring on its next 5 possessions. So the intensity was there, said Quincy Williams, our linebacker. I mean, the defense definitely did well in that green and white scrimmage. So that's all I got to say about that. Then the Jets did not get back out on the field. They got back out on the field for day 10 on August 5th. 3 days out from their joint practice with the Commanders, which happened today. Well, which happened on the 8th of August. And let's see here. The defense was good on Monday. Let's see. Consecutive stops in an end-of-half situational period against Aaron Rodgers and the starters. They forced a 3-and-out. Second-year pass rusher Will McDonald. He was able to get past the right edge of the line of scrimmage, forcing Rodgers into an incompletion and then a check down to Brees Hall. So he's putting the pressure on Rodgers. Don't hurt him. But it's good to keep him on his feet, keep him moving around. Third down, All-Pro linebacker Quincy Williams. He broke up a screen pass to Breece Hall. Safety Ashton earlier team period, consecutive pass defenses by safety Ashton Davis, and also an incompletion. Tried to get a pass to tight end Jeremy Ruckert over the middle, but then it was tipped by Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle, at the line. Then it was batted away by Ashton Davis. He batted it away from Jeremy Ruckert. And then coming down with the interception was linebacker Jamian Sherwood. So good to see Jamian Sherwood really show out, because in his time with the Jets, I really haven't seen much of Sherwood. So it's good to see him really, really showing out and panning out this training camp. So this is good on his end. Let's see. Sal is very happy with how Sherwood's done. He says every single year he has gotten better and better, increased his weight, IQ, his speed, his strength, his mindset. Just like Jermaine Johnson, it is a mindset to get better day in and day out. But this dude, he's a hell of a linebacker. That's a quote from Robert Saleh, our head coach. And so after this practice, the next practice that came, before I get to that, Olu Fashanu got some reps at left tackle, the number one overall pick. I mean, not number one, sorry. Sorry about that. Number 11 overall pick. We don't ever get the number one overall pick. Out of Penn State. He got some reps in place of Tyron Smith. He worked off to the side on Monday because he was dealing with tightness in a lower extremity. But Sal expected him to be back for the joint practice against the Commanders. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, other than that, overall, I'd say the defense really showed out, really dominated on Monday. But let's take a look at before that, there's one more practice before the joint practice. The joint practice against the Commanders. So there was another practice on August 6th. Then they had a walkthrough on August 7th, so they didn't actually get out on the field. So August 6th, day 11 of training camp, it was a bit of a chippy practice. There was a bit of skirmishes. First encounter came after linebacker Marcelino McCrary-Ball tackled running back Xavier Valade by the offensive sideline. McCrary-Ball was quickly greeted by a handful of offensive linemen as pushing and shoving ensued. 2 plays later, and in a new team period, Aaron Rodgers fired a ball to the sideline intended for Garrett Wilson, who jumped in the air with DJ Reed in tight coverage. Wilson, who did not catch the ball, fell to the ground and immediately got in Reed's face. Players from both sidelines met at midfield as head coach Robert Saleh and linebacker C.J. Mosley, he's one of our captains, addressed the team. Saleh says, getting chippy is fine. It's just being responsible with one another. There are 2 types of fights. There are fights because you feel like the other guy is going too hard, which then you need to pick it up. Then there are fights because it looks like you're being cheap. Those are the ones we want to avoid. The overall message being we have practice to finish and take care of one another. Continue to compete and continue to battle. He's not worried about Tuesday's skirmishes getting in the way of the joint practice with the Commanders. No, our guys will compete. Their guys will compete, and there's still a level of respect that you should have your opponent. I don't think anyone is coming in here talking about fighting. That's not what we're looking for. We're just looking to find a way to compete, look at different schemes, lean on different bodies, and find ways to get better. I know Commanders head coach Dan Quinn is preaching the same message. Quincy Williams added to, also was answering questions about this. He said, Very excited about joint practices. What I saw today, loved it, but hated it because we're teammates. But it also shows we have a competitive nature. We're not out here just trying to get through the day. There's still a certain sense of pride about ourselves. And we have some people who are going to come into our house and try to take over. I'm not saying we have a fight type mindset, but a controlled combat. That's the mindset we want to have. Good quote there from Quincy Williams. Offense performance, defensive line at its best performance of Camp Tuesday. Javon Kinlaw, Will McDonald, Braden McGregor, and Eric Watts, some of the players who provided a significant push-up. Highlight on offense came in the move the ball period. Aaron Rodgers and the group were backed up after right guard Elijah Vera Tucker was flagged for holding on linebacker C.J. Mosley. The defense sent some heat as Quincy Williams squeaked through the offensive line on a blitz, but the ball was already out of Rodgers' hands and into Breece Halls, who found space over the middle of the field for what would have been a long catch and run and potentially a touchdown. He's a wide receiver running back. Is wide receiver type running back is what Quincy Williams said. He's like one of the guys we're going against in week 1, Christian McCaffrey. That's a good comparison. Yeah, Breece Hall is good with getting receptions. He had a few of those last year for the Jets. Tyrod Taylor led the first team offense in the competition period. Aaron Rodgers did not practice in the final practice in the last practice before the joint practice against the Commanders. He was watching next to general manager Joe Douglas, and then down by 1 point with 54 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter, no timeouts. Taylor orchestrated a 3-play drive that started on the offense's 30-yard line and ended in field goal range. After an incompletion, Taylor found Allen Lazard on the right sideline on consecutive plays. The group hustled to the line of scrimmage after the second completion and spiked the ball with 4 seconds remaining. So good news. So Robert Saleh, in the last practice, said he expected Tyron Smith to return for the next practice, and he did. He returned to practice, but he only participated in individual drills. Wide receiver Xavier Gibson, who's been out for a bit, with a leg injury, he practiced for the first time since his injury. He had a nice third down conversion. Safety Ashton Davis left practice early and will be evaluated. So, gotta watch out for the injuries. Let's just try and stay healthy through training camp. Let's make sure our main players stay healthy, but also that our depth players stay healthy because in the regular season, if our main guys go down, you need to have these guys that provide depth. You need to have them ready. So that's what you got to make sure. Hopefully, just the message is just hope everyone stays healthy through training camp. Let's see. News. The Jets yesterday activated Mike Williams, or technically 2 days ago, activated wide receiver Mike Williams off of the physically unable to perform list. So this is good. We acquired him over the offseason from the Chargers. He tore his ACL in week 3 last season against the Vikings. So it's good to have him back out there. And let's see. We're going to go through the report of today's joint practice against the Washington Commanders. There was some inclement weather at the Jets training camp facility. So Robert Saleh was saying that he felt the inclement weather limited the team's passing offense, but it did not apply to wide receiver Garrett Wilson. He started the day with a tiptoe touchdown grab on a fade with Commanders cornerback Emmanuel Forbes in coverage. He was able to tap both feet in bounds on a ball from Tyrod Taylor, who took reps with the starters in place of Aaron Rodgers. Saleh decided to keep Rodgers on the sideline because of the inclement weather, which I do understand that, because you don't want him to slip and hurt himself again, and then, oh gosh, here goes our season, That's kind of where that's where I view that one. Then the two of them, Tyrod Taylor, Garrett Wilson, connected on a pair of chunk plays in the next team period. Veteran quarterback launched the ball down the sideline that Wilson brought in with Forbes a step behind. 4 plays later, Wilson found a soft spot in the zone and made a couple defenders miss before he gained extra yards. Tyrod Taylor said, "I love that kid, one of my good friends. It's been a pleasure working alongside of him. He's a fierce competitor. His passion for the game, I haven't seen many people like that." Taylor's practice ended by leading the starting offense down the field in an end-of-game situation. Down by 1 point, it was a 20-19 Commanders lead. Drive started on the Jets' 35-yard line with 1:19 remaining in regulation and no timeouts. Fired a pair of incomplete passes to Allen Lazard before he connected with tight end Tyler Conklin over the middle for a big gain. Lazard converted on 4th down before Garrett Wilson put the Jets near field goal range. Unfortunately, the offense failed to convert on 4th down, and the drive stalled. Taylor said, "Thankful for the opportunity, and I was able to make some plays with a bunch of guys that I hadn't really had a bunch of reps with." He added, "It's easy to come out a joint practice 2.5 weeks into camp raining and to complain, and nobody did that. You didn't hear one complaint the whole day. Guys were excited, guys cheering each other on. We lifted one another up. We competed at a high level, and the leaders stepped up in leading in a big way on the field as far as making plays and vocally." So the defense, but I mean, the thing is, the defense, though, did pretty well in the rain. To close out practice, the Jets' first-team defense matched up with rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. He was drafted number 2 overall out of LSU by the Commanders. And it was a 2-minute end-of-game situation. C.J. Mosley, his unit forced 4 straight incompletions. It was aided by a holding call that nullified a Zach Ertz completion, capped by All-Pro cornerback Sauce Gardner's lead being pass defense on 4th down. Once we got to playing 11 on 11, we started to show our show style. Mosley said, "It's fun to finally go against somebody else, even if it is under controlled conditions, but we got to go out there and play and show our style. So it was fun today." He broke up a pass from Jaden Daniels to Zach Ertz on 4th down in the final period of the practice. Disrupted a ball from Daniels to the veteran tight end to Ertz again. It was on a 3rd and long earlier in practice. While Jaden Daniels was forced out to his left, as Will McDonald, the second-year pass rusher, brought pressure on the left side, or brought pressure towards him. And, the defense did pretty well with getting after Jaden Daniels. Offense struggled, but, you got to work through these conditions. You're probably going to end up having a few games this year in the rain. I mean, the Jets last year had a lot of games at home in the rain. From my recollection, they played the Patriots in the rain, they played the Falcons in the rain, and they played the Texans in the rain. So they had like 3 rain games at MetLife Stadium last year, so it wasn't fun. But, the Jets, they got to get used to it. They got to get accustomed to it and and work through the conditions. Can't be making excuses. You got to work through conditions. I know it's tough to play through these conditions, but you got to work through it, man, all right? You're in the NFL. You got to work through the conditions, and you got to deal with them. So that's all I really have to say on these practices. I was very behind because I'm just got a tight schedule right now. I will try to get a recap of the preseason game against the Commanders, which is on Saturday at kickoffs at noon Eastern at MetLife Stadium. I'll try to get a recap in a few days after that, but we'll see what I can do in that time. But for now, I will see you guys later, and go Jets.